of how to broadcast, how to get a word out. I'm going to try to do this on 2 different venues today. The camera and one down here. So, welcome. I am going to try to discuss how we're going to salvage America. It looks like I got some differences in my cameras here. Somebody can see my mess on YouTube and you can't see it on Facebook. I have to work with that part. Hey guys, I've been watching some of the things happening in the real world, and I'm a little concerned. It appears like we're going to go ahead and run the country just by signing a bunch of executive orders. They're called EOs. And instead of having the legislative process, just go ahead and change the world based on one 80-year-old man's opinion of what he can do and can't do without using the Supreme Court, the public, voting, legislative process, checks and balances, and things like that. This is in this book I'm writing, of course. So this is not real. None of this is really happening in the world out there because I wouldn't let this shit happen. So what's really different, I haven't done in a while, and maybe it's not going to work. I'm going to actually try to transmit some of this stuff to the public from a little place called Salvage, Texas. Some of you may know where it's at. Hey, good. I got some new people. Or actually, Suzanne, you were here yesterday. Thank you. I'm not expecting a large audience. Most of this is just being done so I can get it out there while I'm still able to. It turns out we're having a little bit of a problem in the world. When I was young, I wanted to write, and I was a poor boy. So after I got out of college, I bought a school bus. I converted it in 1981 and went off to write my great American novel. And then I started studying about getting it published if I were to succeed. Gee, you got to go to a publishing company. Cool. Wait a minute. If they don't like your book, they just stick it on the shelf. So they buy the book and you go ahead and do it all. Oh, good morning, Shelley. And then they go ahead and try to, if they don't like it, just don't market it. Well, that's not so bad. I can just go out and sell it myself, right? No. You got to buy the book back. That was the old days. And then I was looking at $30,000, $40,000 to buy a book back that you had them publish. Buy your own rights back to market yourself. And so I decided in my youth and my naivety at 25 years old to go off in a school bus and write the great American novel and go out and market it myself. Boy, was I stupid. Hey, Joy. Oh, Joy, I haven't heard from you in ages. Still driving all bad. Eric, nice to meet you. So I went off on my little excursion, my travel across the country in a school bus from Florida to Alabama. And then in one drive from Alabama in 56 hours, if you can imagine, from Alabama across to Seattle, Washington. I didn't have any money, and I had credit cards, Shell and Exxon. And I actually arrived in Seattle with $15 cash in my pocket, an Exxon card, a Montgomery Ward's card, and a Shell card, credit cards. And they've been paying my gas. And I remember going through Montana. Oh my God, $1.75 for gas was just the most ungodly price. $1981. Now, the difference between $1.75 now and $1.75 in 1981, I'm going to tell you, when you put $100 in the tank back then, well, let's just say I was working for $2 an hour coming out of high school, 1973. I was making $7 an hour, which is not good wages when I came to Texas in 1984. And now we're talking about Americans working for $10 an hour and not getting any overtime like they do over here in the ag places for growing mushrooms and stuff. 60 hours a week in a refrigerator, no overtime. $10 an hour. Overtime exempt industries. Why ship jobs overseas when you can have the people here work for slave wages, right? And that's a problem. Joy, these days in driving, I hear it is not a good place to be if you're on the company time, you're under a camera all the time. They pretty much run your life. It's like being in a cell and working on the road. The trucking industry has changed dramatically, folks. I mean, I highly respect the truckers. If it weren't for them being out there right now, none of you'd have food. All those little children who think that eggs sprout out of egg cartons at the store. No, we got chickens someplace that are being raised, and somebody's hauling around. I guarantee you it's a trucker. And if they get COVID, you ain't getting your food, but they're out there. I'm having a little trouble these days with, I don't want to go to work. It might risk my life. Teachers. If truckers said that, teachers wouldn't get their food. If truckers said that, you wouldn't have medicine. You wouldn't have a whole bunch of things, including troops, by the way, over probably at the Capitol. Somebody's driving those buses. Somebody's, by the way, buses are trucking people. When you get over the road, you go Greyhound or something like that, you're trucking people. You're just different cargo. It's still trucking. So anyway, I'm sorry, Joy, I got off track. My point is this, though, and actually is very important. It is very extremely pertinent, actually, is because right now, who wants to truck into an area where you might get your tires slashed, you might go ahead and get your windows busted out, and you're going to go deliver food for 50 cents a mile, and that's maybe 8 miles into that zone and back out again. 8 miles, you're going to get paid $8 or $10 for those miles, because they're all averaged out to all those miles you spent on the highway. And you're putting on masks, and you're putting on 2 masks, and whoever's around making you do whatever, so you can go ahead and just deliver your load and get the heck out of Dodge. Man. So what happens here? I have some notes, actually. Believe it or not, yeah, notes. Today is fresh. It's about change. Everything's changing, and it's changing fast. And I've said for a long time, none of this is stuff that I haven't tried to teach everybody in my own little way and say, hey, we're going to be downsizing. Hey, I'm just a young boy. This is great. I put this on here so you think I'm old and wise. Isn't that cool? I'm just 30 years old, actually. Uh-oh. Live stream is on chat. Oh, no. I don't mean to do live stream on chat. I don't even do it on chat. Well, heck, I better get off. Guys, I'm going to have to leave this one. Let me see. Maybe it's over on that other one. Oh, live stream over there. On YouTube or over here? 5 hours. Okay. Let me see. Okay. That means no swearing. I can do that. You know what? My thing is this, I guess. Okay. I appreciate you saying that, because I might have let some things slip out of my mouth. YouTube. Okay. So over here on YouTube, so I don't get busted over there for saying stuff I shouldn't say. Thank you. Thank you so much about that little update. You can tell my tech guy over there behind the trees. He's supposed to have been taking care of that. No, I'm not doing chat on that one. I can't watch all these monitors at once. Somebody says there's people who are supposed to help. Moderators. There's a moderator here too. He's sitting behind me, keeps looking over my shoulder. Yes. Fast changes. Absolutely. So what's happening, guys, is that's why I'm on here. Normally I wouldn't stick my head out here and bother with getting shot at so much. I've been making tiny houses for a while. Oh, I got paint all over my fingers, by the way, as paint from having done that thing I did yesterday, making that top for that post for that canyon. Things are changing fast. Normally you'd have to go through months and months and months of bickering and mass media convincing you, let our president do this or do that. Fact check the hell out of it. But in this new fantasy world that I write about, the Darby's in, the one that Wibblry and WUB is all about. Again, we're talking about WUB, a world union of beings. Beings includes dogs, cats, dolphins, gorillas, monkeys, sentient beings. You just don't go out and kick your dog or put him in a fight just to watch him bleed, or for that matter, fighting cocks and all that other stuff. Why do people do things that make them feel better, and yet somebody else has got to feel pain? Somebody else got to suffer. You don't think that happens? Believe me. So why is it so hard to think there's human trafficking for so many Americans? Because they don't want to think that. We've done more to stop human trafficking and babies being abused in the last 4 years than I hope would happen in my entire rest of my life. One of my childhood heroes. I was reading comic books while I was blind. I was nearsighted for many years. I was blind until I got my cataracts. One of those things I did with technology while I was still here after they finally got it relatively perfected. Why? Because you see with your eyes. But if the mind doesn't see, your mind as well be blind. You see with your ears, actually. What does see mean to you? To identify, to discriminate amongst all the waveforms coming in electrically transmitted through chemical reactions between your eye and the retina in the back that's reversing it and twisting around and giving you something to be under the impression that you're actually seeing a person in front of you right now instead of just max headroom in disguise. Yeah, that's the other screen, by the way. It looks like I got somebody else in here with me. And I do. There's 3 of us right now. I got this one over here and I got this one up here. Now, okay, with this in mind, with children and stuff like that available to see and listen to this, let's make this and tailor this to the juvenile, politely crowd. Nobody should be able to chat on a child one, I don't think, because what that does is I think that opens the door up for trolls. Trolls. What are trolls, by the way? In many cases, those are people hired. Okay, real quick. Let's stay happy. I need to stay happy. Best way in the world is not by accumulating things. I can assure you that is by going ahead and helping other people accumulate what they need to be comfortable enough to go ahead and live life, to be something special, to go ahead and make life better for the next person or 2 or 3 or 4. Like if you got 4 kids, you better be making it better for at least 4. Some of the changes, it's always an illusion of what is changed and what's going to be implemented and how we're going to pay for things. Dependency on the government for a currency every month to survive has its merits until all of a sudden people don't do anything to get the money, don't contribute to society, and only expect to be given more and more, except who's putting the money in? Where's it come from? Where's this product come from? You just print it up? Well, when I was young, I was poor. I had great occasions when we got our grades. We got a bonus for good grades in my family. We had an allowance, 25 cents. Why 25 cents? Well, it cost 25 cents to get to the theater on Saturday in those days. You got popcorn in the entrance into the theater for 25 cents. So if I worked all week and carried out the trash and washed dishes and did what I was supposed to, I got my 25 cents. I also got to go to the firing range below the theater and shoot 50 rounds on a 22 rifle that was just like, almost exactly like, but a smaller caliber than the one that Oswald used when he shot our dear president, supposedly from that window up there all by his itty bitty self. Supposedly. People should use more of their brains. They should use more of their independence. They should become more. Some people need to be kicked in the butt to become active. So sometimes you need, what's it called? Adversity is the mother of invention. Why? Because all of a sudden you need to get out there and say, wait a minute, they're going to throw away that house? Mom needs a house. My son needs a house. 52% of the country's moved back home. Are these good times? In the Depression, 48% of the kids moved back home. Big houses became apartments. We take people in to pay for what we got. Land is great until you have to pay the taxes on it. Trust me. So what happens? Big houses get carved up into apartments. I've rehabbed. Heck, I've torn them down. I've rehabbed them in Austin in the old days. So here's what's happening now. Same thing. But who do you want for your roommate? Who do you want in your house? Are they smokers? Are they singing? Are they having music going on? Are they bringing friends over? Who's in that bedroom? What are they doing? And how they should be? All these things come into play. Now, tiny houses, you have one little house where you get together, you eat, you congregate, you commune. Now, these are some of the things I want to talk about. Community. What is community? It's communing together under unified cause. Commune, unity, community. These are important things to know, because what happens is people get into these cults, these religions. And the cult, okay, so we're all, say, Christians or Muslims or Chinese, or they're cultures. Culture is a mature cult. A cult is um, a, a, a a group of morals and ethics that we all agree are workable, and we share a living area like Salvage, Texas, or someplace else, with a culture based on honor. You pick out these things that you want to unify under, these nebulous sort of words that what are they defined as, or by whom? And that's where our problem comes in. By whom? It's a nebulous sort of world when you start changing the definitions. This is what's called Orwellian definition change. What's happening? So no one person can save humanity. I'm not going to be the guy, and I don't want to be the guy, and don't come shooting at me. It's a fantasy I'm talking about, a fantasy world where I'm kind of giving you the overview of what happened in this fantasy world in the future. All names and references that might sound similar are just absolutely made up, just happen to coincidentally match. Just like words we use now. Like, to discriminate, again, means to be able to form a judgment, which is good, which is bad. Now, all of a sudden in this day and age, now being judgmental, being able to judge what's right and wrong based on experience, or perhaps experience and knowledge, which makes equivalent of wisdom. If you have an opinion, I've accumulated a couple of those, and a belief system, and you're willing to go ahead and speak out, which I'm doing now, and I've done in the past, but never so much as now. Hey, Tim, so nice to hear you. I know most people hear cult and think evil, and that's the game of it all. What is culture? Are you part of a culture? Do you consider yourself part of the American culture, the Israeli culture, the Middle East culture, Asian culture? You see, we actually used the word culture in the old days frequently. And we used it because it meant something different. It still does. But again, if you distort the language by changing the meaning of a word, let's just say, for example, what is a conspiracy theorist? When I came back from Germany and I heard that President Kennedy had been shot by a bullet out of a gun, a rifle, just like the one I shot, any bolt action, ching, 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 boom, boom, boom. But the holes didn't match up. Too many holes for one bullet. Too many people hit for a bullet, or two bullets, or three bullets at a distance like that. And I knew that. I was a stupid kid, but 13 years old, having an expert marksman, medals, and stuff like that from shooting before theaters. Didn't take me long to go and figure out that somebody is bullshit. Sorry. Shooting at bulls with, man, I need to go ahead and get rid of YouTube, because I may have trouble keeping my good words and bad words separated sometimes. I don't even notice some of the words they might think are bad. The truth is, we got to talk to our kids. We got to talk to our kids about how do you go ahead and have life skills instead of college degrees that you can't do anything with except wait tables. Okay. This has been a test, guys. I'm going to have to go ahead and kill one of these live streams. We got a problem. I don't want everybody to go to war, kids. This is the issue. If I make this for kids, that means under 18. Well, you know what? There's a whole bunch of kids between 12 and 18 that need to hear some of this. So I'm going to take a chance and try to go ahead and talk about some of it and keep my tame my words. Again, when you battle for good or evil, define it. What culture are you in? Oh, I'm in a culture in Afghanistan where it's okay for warlords to have little boys as a means of satisfying their needs. When our soldiers saw that, they just absolutely tore up some guys. Well, those guys were warlords, and our government said, you can't do that. That's their culture. Oh. When we went into Afghanistan, the Taliban had stopped the growing of poppies and stuff because they didn't believe in having people addicted and shipping drugs out of the country as an industry. And so they shut down the poppy fields. Bushes, the Clintons, man, it just doesn't work. If you've been chipping in that stuff since Reagan days when Bush was doing it and had to cover it up with Ollie and then blow up an airplane coming back with evidence that we blamed on Libya and all those little things in this little book I'm writing. It's all totally fiction, of course. It didn't really happen. It's just about the story of how Darby grew up in this strange little fantasy world. I say fantasy because, of course, no, that was real. It's all just the conspiracies, right? The conspiracy nut thing, remember? That was a conspiracy nut thing. It was created under the auspices that you could go ahead and tag somebody, kids. I want you to know that. If somebody says, hey, you're a conspiracy nut. I was 13, 14, 15, 16, all the rest of my life. Whenever you say that some people might have got together and planned something, that's a conspiracy. And it was planned together. And that when it actually happens and there's proof, you can call that a conspiracy and prosecute it in court and call it sedition, treason, and a number of other things when people conspire together to plan, say, a raid on a very important institution. And in the book, that happens in a nightmare. Darby has this nightmare. And it's a crazy, crazy nightmare. Darby has a lot of nightmares. So kids, don't think you're the only ones. Darby, when he was young, thought about committing suicide. So just distraught. How could the world be that bad? How could he be treated that bad? And he failed. He couldn't hang himself. The rope stretched. There's all sorts of things that stop you from doing what you want to do sometimes for your own betterment. Change your course. Wake you up. I'm not looking at you out here on YouTube. I'm sorry. I'm talking over here to this other camera. I'll go ahead and record this later and switch it over. The point is this, kids. When you're 15 years old, like my son was, and you want to start being part of the game that you're going to inherit, having a voice in what's going to happen. Well, kids, yeah. Out in that world out there where it's now open to kids, and I'll probably get in trouble because I'm talking the truth. Did you know more millionaires are made out of salvage and salvage building, salvage mining than any other industry in the entire country? So kids, you can come out of school at 18 years old and get salvage and build yourself a tiny house like I built without having any college experience. If you want to make a business out of it, you can take a couple of business courses. You could take a couple of accounting courses if you have it in high school already. And this can be done in high school. You can get out of high school and run a business, a good business, tearing down houses, making chicken coops, making dog houses, making all sorts of things. Tim's a good example. In spite of having broken his back, he managed to go ahead and be like myself, a poor kid that worked his way up, got a bunch of assets, and then, oh man, Mother Nature and life just changes sometimes. You get sick. You get hurt, you get crippled. The point is, do you keep going? That's what separates the ones who get to the finish line from the ones who just fall out. Take drugs. Take antidepressants because they can't handle it. They can't go out and change their life and make it better. They got to go ahead and try to mask it. Now I can deal with it. A little more. Now I got it. Okay, now, I got to take a drink. Why? To mask the past. Okay, so there doesn't have to be war. There doesn't have to be attacking each other. There doesn't have to be hate within our own country. Now, this little short book of Wibblry and WUB is about this little set of words, Wibblry. We, W-I-I, all the I's, you, me, and everybody else, I's, all of us I's together. If all of us I's together form what we need to do, we can actually solve this stuff. The we, W-I-I, not W-E, where we are one group and you, the other group, or they, the other group, that we're going to go ahead and beat up, attack, and take out because we want it our way. That's the W-E of it. And right now we got we, W-I-I, all beings on the planet. This isn't just talking about Americans, guys, kids. This is talking about your future and everybody else, all the kids on the planet. We have a chance to join together to form a world union of believers in a system that doesn't take in and exclude you because you are of a religion or of a faith or of a practice of how you eat, vegetarian, or if you, whatever you do, if it's peaceful, if it doesn't interfere with the next person, I don't have the right to stop you by shooting you, killing you, or taking out your life. So you could build a life out of salvage. You could build in villages. You could actually get off the grid and not have to go out there and have the great big house and the great big super expensive car and all the debt and everything, so that if somebody you're depending on, including your employer, suddenly says, "Oh, get out of here. We don't need you anymore." Suddenly you're broke. You got to change. Shelley, that's great. Even there's so many people that have been salvaging all their lives, especially people that were poor, or people that could use it for art, people could use it to create things. But in the old days, everybody salvaged. And in other countries, my goodness, our landfills would be a gold mine in most countries, because they would be in there mining, literally salvage mining, all of that out of there. And you'd be amazed how much gold is in there, but silver. I used to dig in dumpsters. I used to dig in landfills. I dig in landfills when I was 12 years old. Actually, yuck. It was for a tannery in Whitehall, Michigan. You guys up there know that tannery. And then paper mill. Oh, yeah. I used to dig around the paper mill. I'd get around through the fences and go in there and look for stuff that I could take away, because I was a poor kid. And we built everything, bicycles, anything we could out of the trash we could find. Kids make fun of my stuff, but you know what? I had a bicycle. It looked weird, but I had bicycles. I'd break them up, jump on them and stuff like that, and go out, get another bike and put a tricycle tire on the front of it, make a cool bicycle. Back in the old days, I was a geek. Yeah. Any of you kids out there, if you're geeks, don't worry about the beating you're taking. You can do something later on. Just stick it out. Prove yourself by your deeds. Believe in yourself. Don't let anybody knock you down. Don't let anybody make you believe you can't become something. What is it you want to be? I'm going to go ahead and get off and say this. We're in changing times. We've got to be ready to change. Prepare. Prepare to light your fire, that internal passion. Prepare to be positive, be truthful, and share it. Because if you aren't truthful, you can't have love. You can't have people, community. If your culture isn't based on love for one another and helping each other, you all get locked into a space together, you're going to eat each other. That's why I wouldn't want to be underground with all those people that supposed to have a bunch of money and have underground bunkers, because you know what? I don't think I want them in charge of my life. Logan's Run. You get 30 years. What do you mean I get 30 years? Kids, if you haven't watched Logan's Run, watch it. It's a really good movie about what happens if you get locked down below and can't get out. Zardoz, an old classic, about how the elite might just drop weapons down and have one group kill another group, so that way they'll never figure out that they're being run by another group. That was a Sean Connery film. I highly recommend it. It was hilarious in this day and age of special effects. But in its day, it was a statement by him that everybody should listen to and understand. We're there. The elite in that movie are the ones behind that protective bubble. Right now, it doesn't look so like a bubble. It looks like a big old fence with wire on top and a bunch of soldiers outside. But that's the same as in the movie Zardoz. Zardoz. Yes. Classics of the old days. Predicting the future. 1984 is here. Yeah, in the 70s. Yeah, they'd let you in, Sydney. Back in those days, you could go into a dump, take your shit you're going to drop. Your things you're going to drop off. Oh, my goodness. I got to say goodbye on this other one. Thank you, guys. I got to end this. I can't seem to control my mouth. Yeah, and live stream. All right. Uh-oh. I got to do it the other way. I forget. Okay. Anyway, guys, some of you may know this already, but I built an empire out of salvage. I showed people how to make houses. It will no longer be live. Okay, end it. There we go. End it. All right.